there, BookTube. Today is going to be my weekly wrap-up from the 19th through to the 25th of June. And I read 4 books this week, so let's just get on with the first book. And that was The Ninth Grave by Stephen Unham. And I had a library book of that, which I get back already, so I don't have it here to show you guys anymore. But you guys seeing the English cover anyway, so that's more relevant to you guys anyway. This is a thriller book, the second in the Fabian Risk crime series, and honestly, to me, it was just okay. It was too long for me. The translated edition I read was 580 pages long, and it could have been easily 200 pages shorter, and then it would have been a fantastic crime thriller. But sadly, since it had those pages, there was just a lot of wading through unnecessary and frankly overly dramatic moments. What was a bit better in the second book compared to the first one was that this book felt a bit more evened out. The extreme brutality was not a big of a shock anymore in this one, and I don't know if that is because I expected it to be in the second book since I already read the first one, or if it was just a bit more evened out, not as horrendously extremely brutal, meaning that we didn't get, as we did in the first one, around 100 or more pages of boring over dramatic family life or nowhere going investigations, and then only 10 pages of horrendously brutal torture, and instead we got a bit more evenly spread out horror and drama of the family life variety. So can be a progress seen in how the author wrote the second book, but overall this book was not that great for me. It was not a bad book, but it was just not the typical kind of book I love. If you're somebody that really loves this typical Swedish Scandinavian crime thriller, then this one will definitely be for you, because every Scandinavian thriller I read so far was extremely brutal and bloody and torturous and just very much more a horror book instead of a crime book. If you like that kind of crime book, this will definitely be a good one for you, so maybe give it a try. I gave it 3 stars. Moving on, the next book I read was one that is still quite brutal but also silly fun, and that is Dead Until Dark by Charlene Harris. I know a lot of people hate the Silky Stacker series and rant about those books. I just enjoy them. They are nothing world changing. They're simple and silly and fun for me, and I just enjoy that. This is kind of vampire comedy kind of thing I just find entertaining. If you don't know what the series is about, this first one is where we meet the main character throughout this entire series, and that is a waitress named Suki. She lives in a small town in Louisiana in a world where vampires came out, as it is said in the book, or they are just known in the world that they are real, and we follow her throughout the different books and how she manages to get into trouble with vampires and their politics because she is able to read minds. And it's just as stupid and silly as it sounds, but I really enjoy the series every now and again between heavier books to cleanse my palate, if you will. It's super easy to read. The writing is nothing special at all, but it's fun and entertaining, and I really love how completely stupidly silly this is, and it's exactly what I wanted. So if you enjoy this type of book, you know what I mean, and if you don't, you don't, but it's fine, and I gave it 4 stars. The next one was the biggest surprise that I read so far this year, and that was It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. I filmed an entire separate review or talk or discussion kind of video, whatever you want to call it, so I will link that in the card as well as the info bar down below if you're interested in. I have a lot of thoughts about this book I wanted to share, and it would be too long to share them here. So I gave this book 4 very surprising stars, and as I said, if you want to hear more, please check out my other video. The last book I finished during that week was Born by Jeff Vandermeer. I would try to explain what this book is about, but honestly, I have no clue how to explain this book. And I'm just going to give you how the synopsis on the back of the book starts out, and that is: am I a person? Born asked Rachel. Yes, you're a person, Rachel tells him. But like a person, you can be a weapon too. That is just kind of all you need to know about this book, because if that is something that sounds interesting to you, go ahead and read it. If that sounds completely strange and not at all like something you would like to read, just stay away, because the book is as strange as that little snippet I just told you guys about. So, which is also basically everything I have to say about this book, because it's just very strange. I mean, I really love Wondermere's writing. I love how he managed to write those very strange futuristic versions of our world where we can still clearly recognize some things, but at the same time we have no idea how the world could become this place that he sets his stories in. And his characters are always interesting and a bit different. And in his books, you just have to be prepared for a lot of strangeness and a lot of slower reading. He doesn't add any words that are not necessary. Really have to read everything he writes to get his meanings. That is kind of strange if you read his first book and you try to fly through it, as many of us guys on booktube do, and you just notice that you really have to slow down. You really have to read what he's writing. I like his writing style. I like how he tells the stories, and I like this book, but at the same time I had no idea what the heck was going on at the most time throughout the story. And I would kind of love to get an explanation of this book in book form that I could read, so maybe that I could get a better understanding of what the heck happened in Born. But no, I will have to reread that book in the future so that I can actually understand more of what the story is telling me, because in this read through I just wanted to know what was going to happen next and how the story was going to evolve, and I kind of understood what was happening, but at the same time I needed more explanations, and sometimes a reread of his books really help. It's a very strange book, and I can't actually say any more of that. It was still very entertaining and enjoyable to me. If you like that type of book, I highly recommend his books. I gave this book 3 stars. As always, I would love to hear what you guys thought about the books I just talked about. If you read any of them and what you thought about them, or if you plan to read any of them, I would love to hear what you guys read during the week. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will see you in my next one, and until then, in the comments. Bye.